Welcome to All the Gear But No Idea, the South Australian fishing podcast hosted by Rhodey and Diz. The boys will share their tall tales of the one that got away, as well as some regular segments they know all you fishing tragics will enjoy.
G'day guys and welcome to episode 144 of All the Gear But No Idea, the South Australian Fishing Podcast. Rhodey, we've got a huge episode today. We've got Richard from Savage Tackle. It's going to be great to have a chat with him later today.
It certainly is, Diz, and he was kind enough to take us out fishing on his boat from Port Hughes a couple of weeks ago, Diz, and he certainly knows where those whiting live.
Yeah, that's for sure. We'll have a bit of a chat about our wonderful day on the water with Richard and Simon a bit later on. But before we do that, let's get through some of those usual segments that all our listeners have come to love. Rhodey, oranges and lemons. Kick us off with an orange, mate.
Dizzy, we were over on the York Peninsula last weekend. Not strictly a fishing trip, but we did put the boat in briefly, which we'll touch on in our fishing report, Diz. But we were at a good friend's wedding, Lil Morgan marrying Charlie Oster over on the York Peninsula. And very kind of James Morgan, the father of the bride, to give the podcast a shout out.
Yes.
That was good, wasn't it?
It was, it really was good. Look, it was a privilege to be at that wedding. It was a lovely wedding and the speeches were all hilarious, I think.
Yeah, they were good. Good show, good wedding.
They had a good array of speeches and yes, Jimmy Morgan giving us a shout out about the podcast was a true highlight, that's for sure.
It certainly was, Diz. It was great. Now, what's your orange, mate?
Well, my orange is at that wedding, we did happen to find a bit of a, well, look, after James made the announcement about our podcast, there was I think there was a lot of fanfare, wasn't there? There was people coming up to us sort of, are you there, Rhodey and Diz?
And anything to do, obviously over on the York Peninsula, the algae was a hot topic. Everyone wanted an opinion. Everyone came looking for us. And what did we need, Diz?
Well, look, you came up with the grand idea to have some business cards. I mean, you were certainly floating around the concept that you would be national president / CEO of All the Gear But No Idea, and that I would be some sort of mere co-host or something to that effect. But it was really good banter and I think worthwhile something for us to give some real thought to, Rhodey, to spread the good word about the podcast. So business cards might be coming your way at your next function.
Yes, look out there. They're coming. They're coming.
Good. All right, let's roll into some lemons. My lemon was really the fact that we did get the boat in the water and, through Ardrossan, Black Point, Port Vincent, Port Julia, that type of area was where we had the boat. And, mate, that area has been smashed by the Algal Bloom. And driving over some of those reefs that we've spent a lot of time over the top of that typically are very vibrant and have a lot of fish swimming around them, and you won't have too much of a difficult time picking up a squid or two. It not only looked dead and that we couldn't catch a single thing, but it was just quite bleak being out on the water.
Yeah, it is. Some of that corkweed, the long weed that almost gets to the surface, probably the top foot or 2 foot closest to the surface was going white on the weed, and it looked fully dead.
Yeah, it did. It did, Rhodey. It wasn't good. The water was quite clear, but then once it was a little bit of a northerly. Once that started coming in, it didn't take long for it to get quite soupy.
Get a bit foamy on the beach too. Not to the extent that we've seen on the Metro Coast, but certainly there was some foam there on one of those days.
Yeah, that's right. Rhodey, what was your lemon?
Dizzy, my lemon was it the recovery or the wedding? Same thing, same event, but we're talking to Rishi, a mate of ours from Adelaide who's moved to Sydney, and his family, I think, had rented a place at Black Point, and he sadly had a photo of a 10-kilo snapper washed up.
Yeah, it was nasty.
So that was a bit of a sour note, Diz, and, it's sad when you see all those little leather jackets and weedy whiting and whatever else, but particularly sad when it's a big snapper and we know how valuable they are to the industry and rec fishing and how much we all want snapper fishing to reopen, but who knows what happens with that, Diz?
Yeah, good call. All right, Rhodey, from that somber note, let's move on to a bit of an update because our photo comp running at the moment is a great way for people to get out and about and just find a way to enjoy the great outdoors and outdoors.
Ooh,
and all that rec fishing has to offer. So we did get out on the boat and it was good. We had the kids out there. They had a bit of fun. Was still a good time, and the comp, as we said, is really just encouraging all of you listeners out there to send us a photo or send us of some activity that you're doing to still make the most of this situation. You might be travelling to a new part of South Australia. You might be in your local tackle shop picking up some new gear. Something along those lines is what we're looking for, Brody.
Yeah, we want to promote a bit of positivity as we move on from this algal bloom and try and keep fishing Diz. So we've got a great prize from Shimano. So we've got an Ultegra 2500 reel and an Azalis 702 medium light rod. Plus we'll throw in a Shimano cap, Diz, and that's about $400 worth of prize money.
That's good going.
And we're running the comp till midnight on September 7th. So that's Father's Day, Diz. Hopefully
I'll get you through to
kids
Father's
have been
Day.
out shopping for us.
Yeah, good call.
Put in my wish list. It's all good fishing and outdoorsy type gear.
Yes, of course it is. Nice, Rody. What else is happening on the socials, mate?
Oh, mate, I got pretty busy and submitted the podcast to about 500 more podcast directories.
Oh.
I didn't know these things existed.
So Buzzsprout hasn't been doing that?
Well,
or not
I
sure?
think maybe when we started the podcast, I said I subscribed to all of them that were available at that time, but
there's more since.
I'm sure there's a few people out there on Player FM or Listen Notes or Deezer who are just looking for us and can't find us.
Yeah, Pocket Casts sounds like another one that'd be popular with the punter out there.
Podchaser, Podcast Addict, and Amazon Music. You can find us on all those streaming services now.
Very good.
There are a couple more that I got to do, but they took a bit more, I had to fill in a few more details. So I've got that on my to-do list.
Well done, mate. Always taking the podcast to the next level. You are. You're bloody great for that.
And Diz, on that social media, that video of the weed got a lot of traction and a lot of comments as well. So that was good too, Diz.
Good stuff. All right, Rody, what else have we got before we get stuck into the news?
Dizzy, you know what we love? We love a bit of listener interaction.
We love voice memos.
And do you know what the listeners want? We've had actually a few people over the last few months ask when the joke is coming back.
Yeah, well, after you killed it, sort of no doubt have asked for it back. So let's play this one.
This is from Dan Way, the fishing guru. He sent us a voicemail and he sent us an absolutely ripping joke.
Hey, lads, I thought I'd run a joke past AI and see what they had to say. And thanks to ChatGPT, we have the following. So, why aren't squid any good at winning fishing comps? That's because they're always getting caught up in their own excuses.
I actually didn't mind that. I've heard worse.
That's not too bad. And I am looking forward to us running it back week on week into ChatGPT and just asking for a new joke.
Anyway,
that is a brilliant idea, Dan.
Thanks to Dan, the fishing guru, for sending that through. If anyone else has a fishing joke or anything else to contribute to the podcast, please send us a voicemail.
Good stuff, Roddy. Let's get into the news, mate.
Rody and Diz have been searching far and wide to bring you the latest news across all fishing in the state, and we'll give you the rundown on what you need to know.
Righto, Roddy, talk us through some of the headline topics from the news this week. Let's get started with the algal bloom and get that out of the way.
All right, Diz, this was an interesting one. The government are talking up a bubble curtain to protect the cuttlefish and their eggs in Upper Spencer Gulf.
Yes.
So $700,000 or nearly that amount, aiming to protect more than 50,000 cuttlefish eggs. So the government says the technology will be installed early next week, and it creates it's a 200 by 100 metre curtain situated over there. I think it's around Point Lowly sort of area. And the air bubbles created by the curtain will form an underwater barrier that stops the algae from passing through and is designed to protect those cuttlefish that are so valuable to the state.
In anything that I've read, they've sort of made it pretty clear that it's not a sure thing.
No,
but it's
and
something that they're going to try.
And it's protecting a small area. They did say, we can't protect the whole Gulf or anything like that, but it's a series of land-based generators and compressors create the bubbles that pump through underwater feeder lines and tubing, forming a barrier 2 to 7 metres deep along the rocky reef.
Yeah, nice. Love it. We'll
And
look forward to following that one a bit closer.
So they have said here it's a trial, and it's no guarantee, as you said. And in that, I think the same press conference from the government, they talked about a plan for sort of the summer season will be coming shortly. So to help businesses and things like that, because the way things are looking, it's not wrapping up anytime soon.
No, that's right. And part of that is the next item is the Coast is Calling vouchers. So the government will be rolling that out to encourage people to go and enjoy all that regional towns have to offer, particularly those on the coast that are most affected by this bloom.
It's a bit like those COVID vouchers. Remember we got them and we used them for the oyster tour at Coffin Bay.
Yeah.
When we were coming out of COVID. So the Coast is Calling travel voucher programs will see 20,000 vouchers for accommodation and experiences released. So there's a range of offers, $100 experiences for experience vouchers, and then accommodation vouchers for 100, 200 and 500 for 1 to 5 night minimum stays. I think at the moment so the expressions of interest has just closed. That was last week for tourism operators to get involved. Friday the 19th to Monday the 22nd of September, there's a ballot for people to enter. So I'll certainly be putting my name in the hat, and we'd encourage you all to get involved in that.
Yep.
Then the ballot is drawn on the 23rd of September. You need to book your trips between the 23rd of September and the 24th of October, and you can then use the travel up until the 30th of November, Diz. 2025, so this year.
Very good.
So it's sort of encouraging you to have a bit of a trip in the late half of the year. So you've got to be pretty quick on it to get your stuff booked and go and use it pretty much straight away.
Yeah. Immediate support. We love that. Good stuff. Rhodey, another little topic that came out of news was, of course, the CEO of Perza making some commentary around those that couldn't keep their businesses going, that they could just go on the dole.
And that went down well, didn't it?
It did go down like a lead balloon.
Oh, my God. That was met with a lot of interesting feedback online, Diz.
Yeah, I think that was a bit of a PR disaster, to be honest, because it was sort of, I watched the clip where he was sort of pushed on questioning about options for these people where their businesses might go under, and I think it's safe to say that that wasn't very well received by those that are doing it toughest at the moment. So I'm confident there'll be a retraction of some description to clarify the fact that that's not really the intent.
Yes. I think he'd regret that comment right about now, Diz, but we'll keep moving.
While we're on Perza, they've got a new SA fishing app.
Yeah, so they've just updated the original one. So the species catalogue with all your bag and boat limits has been updated. Interactive map displaying sanctuary zones, seasonal closures, things like that. You can get notifications for when your closures start and any rule changes. There's also a personal fishing log to save any trip details. Mandatory snapper reporting in the southeast can be done on the app, and there is a voluntary catch reporting for other species, as well as incident reportings if you see something dodgy going on. So you need to go to your app store or whatever and update the app if you've already got it, or download it if you don't. Because it is quite handy, Diz, when you're out there and you catch a species you're not particularly targeting and you're not quite sure on the bag or boat limits to have a quick look.
Yeah, good call. All right, Rhodey, the seagrass collection by Ozfish seeds for snapper. So this is something that will be familiar to those that have been listening for quite some time. We've covered this one.
Yeah, so up until now they've been collecting the Posidonia fruit.
Yes.
But they are now going to also collect the sea nymph, Amphibulus SPP, whatever that means. That's the Latin, I think, Diz.
Or squid jig seedlings.
Yeah, so it's quite a interesting little thing, Diz. It produces seedlings instead of fruit, and much like a squid jig, they have barbs that attach to rough surfaces like root mats, sandbags, and seaweed. So they're saying to familiarise yourself with these seedlings. If you're on the coast and you see one, snap a photo and share the location, and then in time they're going to start collecting them. And once they sort of have a bit of an idea about where they are and things like that. But at the moment, they're just trying to get some information about where they turn up, and then similar to the seeds for snapper, they're going to be collecting them.
Yeah, good call. All right,
and that's important, is with this algae going on. You think the better we can get the seagrasses and all that sort of stuff, maybe it gives us a bit of protection in the future.
For me, the question is like, when do you start planting them? I know they sort of harvest them for a little while and keep them in captivity, for want of a better term, but then when do you start sort of taking them out to sea en masse?
Interesting, Diz. I don't know what the timing around that is, and
we'll follow it along.
Yeah, who knows?
Rody, next we have the Onca Stomper. So, of course, anybody that knows that will know that very tragically Mark Mills passed away. Rest in peace. And the date, the 23rd of November this year, is going to be the 2025 Onca Stomper. It's going to be a huge day. There's going to be a real sort of memorial and dedication to Mark after all of the commitment that he showed to that competition and the charities it supported over the journey. So whack it in the calendar, get around it. It's going to be a wonderful day and a great, as I say, memorial for all that Mark did for rec fishing and particularly that Onca Stomper competition.
Yeah, so it's the 20th edition, Diz. I see they've just literally now put up a Facebook page. So it's being organised by John Mills, who's Mark's father, as well as Dan Way and Dane, who have been involved for the last 10 years, and they're organising the 20th event to finish Mark's legacy. They are going to scatter Mark Mills' ashes at the end of the event and also have a minute's silence. So that is, again, fundraising for Breakthrough Mental Health Foundation. So that's a great community event to get involved with if you can.
Absolutely. Rody, down in that neck of the woods is, of course, where the Port Noarlunga jetty is, and it's back open.
Yeah, actually talking about Danway, I think he was fishing there during the week and caught some salmon trout. So Good to see that getting some use.
Yeah, that's right. Well, we sort of had a good chat with Kate Calamari last episode, and they sort of said about how salmon don't seem to be as affected by the algal bloom for some particular reason. And it's good to see that they're fishing and good to see that Dan's still getting out there and making the most of all that rec fishing has to offer at this point in time.
That's it, Tiz, and that's a pretty good news segment.
It is, mate. That's very good indeed. Let's get into the tackle item of the week.
Now it's time for Rody and Diz to really show you what it means to have all the gear with a lot of idea as they review a tackle item of the week.
Rody, it's about this time of the year that we usually start talking about what are you doing with your tuna gear? Are you dusting it off? Are you replacing your singles? Because you probably wouldn't be using trebles, certainly not these days anyway, but you'd probably be, checking that you don't have any rusty singles sitting on there and starting to think about the pelagic season, I suppose, if you want to call it that, and you just start getting a little bit excited, especially when it's certainly not happening right now, but we got a bit of a taste of spring last week.
Yeah, it was nice weather last week, Diz, and the weather should warm up from here.
Yeah, so I think it's about now. And one other thing you want to be doing is getting in your boat, checking what you've got. And if you've got a rusty old gaff that's not up to scratch...
Are you talking about us in particular? Because our gaff's had it.
I think we are. I think we're talking about us.
And we were talking about taking that out to get a barrel, and it was not going to do the job.
No, it definitely wasn't going to do the job on a barrel, but... what I would say is that you want to get yourself down to your local tackle store. Sports Fishing Scene has a wonderful range of all accessories, but certainly gaffs, and your local tackle store would as well. But you want to get down there and have a chat with them about what gaff might be suitable for your fishing needs. And a gaff is something that can come in handy. It can secure the catch of a lifetime, Rody.
Certainly can, Diz, and it's, as long as you're completely certain you're obviously going to keep the fish
and treat it with care, and
get your icky Jimmy gear out. Think about your tuna champion sort of lessons. But if you are going to take the fish and harvest it and cook it up or sashimi it or whatever, it's quick and easy. You're not messing around with a net. You're getting the fish in the boat as quick and as safe and as smoothly as you can. And they're very well built these days, Dizzy. They're very strong gaffs with those, razor sharp points. And it's probably just time we got a new one, I reckon, Diz.
Good call, Rody. I think that's definitely something that we should be looking at. So we'll be getting ourselves down to our local tackle store to get amongst it.
We certainly will, Diz. Now let's get into our guest of the week, Diz. We're going to have a chat with Richard Hill. He's the new owner of Savage Tackle, and he was generous enough to take us out on his beautiful boat to catch some whiting recently.
Now it's time to get our guest on the line. We'll ask them the all-important 5 questions, then chat all things fishing in SA.
All right, Dizzy, we are joined here today by Richard, the man behind Savage Tackle, and a very generous recreational fisherman who took us out the other week. Diz, Richard, welcome to the show.
How you going, boys? Having a good night?
Yeah, we are, mate. It is. It's a nice night for podcasting and a great night to have a chat with you about all things fishing. And we are really looking forward to getting stuck into everything Savage Tackle, talking about your lovely boat and the beautiful day on the water out off Port Hughes we had very recently. But before we do that, we do want to ask you the 5 questions we ask all of our guests. So to start with, mate, tell us about your best fish.
Alrighty, best fish. I had to think long and hard because I've caught a few over the years. I reckon my best one that everyone sort of used to give me a bit of crap about years ago was I caught a 9.7 kilo snapper, so 97 centimetres on 1 kilo line. Fishing for whiting in the Gulf on the middle of winter, so not really snapper time. Took me, catching dog sharks and all sorts of other stuff around the whiting, so I just kept fighting it for about 2 hours, and eventually, this monster snapper come up, and shocked us all.
Was that a record or close to it on that light line, or?
The story that goes along with it, it would have been a world record, and I used to use the line called chameleon line, which you can get in like 1 kilo and 2 kilo line. So I sent the line over to America to get tested, and it came back at breaking with their testing that they do at 1.01 kilos. So that means it doesn't class as 1 kilo line, so it wasn't a world record. So I was shattered.
Spewing.
Because you're quite into your like 1 and 2 kilo line class fishing, Richard, aren't you?
Yeah, so I love my light line, like the challenge.
Yeah.
So I sort of Devo, and then after that I've always used platypus pre-test now because they pre-test their line before they spool it. So that was probably my claim to fame. I've got lots of other state records and stuff, but that would have been a world record if the line broke a little bit lighter.
Wow. Have you got any other like Australian records or anything like that?
Yeah, I've got a couple of Australian records. I can't remember them off the top of my head. I've got probably a dozen, I reckon, state records. Going from Samson fish, I still hold a couple of snapper records on 3 kilo line for 9 kilo fish.
Wow.
I hold sports and game fishing tuna records on 3 kilo line for like around the 9 kilo, 9.5 kilo tuna on 3 kilo line. So I've got a few that I've acquired over the years.
Epic, mate. Love it. Now, tell us your favourite thing about fishing.
Favourite thing is probably just getting out, relaxing, especially going out with mates, like when we went out, like it's just the banter. Years ago, I got brought up with fishing when it was all about catching a feed, where I find it's more the social side of it and the relaxing and getting away from life, and just that's probably the reason why I like the light line. Like it's just you and the fish and a bit of line holding you together, and get your mind off other things going on in life.
Very good. Now, Richard, what is your first fishing memory, or what got you into it?
Memory's probably a bit hard. Like I reckon I probably going out with my dad and my grandpa out from Port Vic, when my grandpa used to have his shack there, and going out in the boat catching whiting and stuff like that. And then same probably the age bracket as going out with my other grandpa, going to Lake Bonnie catching carp, stuff like that.
Awesome, mate. There's some two very iconic South Australian spots there you've just mentioned.
So I was pretty lucky as a kid.
Yeah, for sure. Now, mate, what is your favourite sort of fishing and why?
Favourite, like for type of fishing?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's probably, it might sound a bit weird for most people because it's not a fish that people like catching, but I love chasing drummer. So like one of my favourite places to go is Tipra Lighthouse, like out from Port Hughes, chasing the drummer in around the reef, like on light line, like trying to catch 3 kilo fish that pull really hard on 1 kilo line. It's a bit like guys that go for trout at sight fishing, so you just catch them on small hooks and bread. I do like the big game stuff where they're pulling heaps of drag and all that sort of stuff, but I could do drummer fishing all day. You can ask Simon next time you chat to him. I've bored the crap out of him trying to catch a drummer.
You must be a very patient man, Richard, to catch these drummer and these sort of 2-hour fights on 1 kilo line. You must have some patience about you.
Yeah, it's pretty relaxed. Like I think years and years ago, I got into the light line when the snappers were really thick, and we used to have lots of snapper drops, and you could go out and you could smash your bag full of snapper in 20 minutes when they're on, like if you had heavy line, and that's where I started, like putting out a gar line or your whiting rod and catching them, and then I sort of got the bug stuck, and I think it's just my happy place, I'd probably call it, if that makes any sense.
Beautiful. Now, Richard, tell us your funniest fishing story or the one that got away.
All right, I'll go with the one that got away, and I'll probably go with a recent one because I've lost lots, obviously, fishing light line. But the one that was funny, scary, and one that got away was beginning of the year, fishing out of Scale Bay over on the west coast. We were fishing for, I think we were catching big salmon at that stage. The tuna had shut down, and we threw a salmon back that my missus caught, and a big mako decided to come up next to the boat and take that. So the next salmon that we caught, I took half a slab off, threw that in, hooked a mako on 8 kilo line, and everyone thought I was onto a tuna because they just see a big bent rod. So half a dozen boats come around us, and then this, which worked out to be about a 2 metre mako, just jumped out in amongst all the boats and went about 6 foot in the air. Everyone scattered. And after about 45 minutes, and it jumped out the water probably 7 or 8 times, we got it next to the boat, and then me and my mate, and we're just there with our partners. We're trying to work out, okay, we've got 2 gaffs, we've got a bat. Do we get this thing in the boat or let it fight some more to try and wear it out? So we decided on letting it wear out because the 2 girls in the boat weren't too keen on us dragging this thing with big teeth in the boat, especially after watching it jump out the water and what it was doing. And then unfortunately, eventually it broke my line and it got to swim another day. But that was the most fun catching or hooking one of those, I should say. But just, didn't know what to do when we got it next to the boat because I'd never caught a mako, and you hear they go nuts when you get them in the boat. So my boat at that stage, I only had it for a couple of months, so I wasn't keen on dragging something that was longer than my fishing area.
Yeah, that's right.
Very good. Sounds like you are here. Well, I don't know if you made a good decision or not, but it's a good story to tell anyway.
Yeah, that's it. So it makes you want to go and catch another one, but I'd like a smaller model to start off with.
Yeah. Get your eye in.
Yeah, that's it.
All right. Now, Richard, tell us about your background in fishing. Tell us a bit about your story from being sort of a recreational fisherman to now taking over Savage Tackle from your mate Simon, who is a previous guest of the podcast.
Yep. So got into fishing from the first fishing memories, sort of thing. I had one set of grandparents in Port Vic and one set that lived in Burra. So we used to do freshwater yabbing and fishing with those sorts, and then the saltwater stuff with my grandparents in Port Vic, and just fished there ever since I remember, really. Mum used to give me shit to pack me with a sandwich and a bottle of water, and I'd take my grandpa's wheelbarrow from their house and wheel all my tackle and stuff down the jetty and fish all day and come back when it was dark for tea. And then just, got into, always done fishing here and there over the years in between around work, and then sort of got back into it. I had a bit of a break after getting divorced and just work life gets too busy. Got back into my fishing hardcore a few years ago, and then by then Simon had sort of bought Savage and was looking at maybe selling because he was too busy to do his full-time job in Savage. And at that stage I got a injury, so I was just a stay-at-home dad. So I bought Savage to keep my brain busy, and also it keeps me getting to go around and talk to customers and talk fishing more, and it's good.
Yeah, brilliant. It's you've got a wonderful product, and we're really keen to get into some of the things that are moving well for you and some of the unique products that you do have with Savage Tackle. But as I'm sure many of our listeners out there would be aware, a lot of it is sinkers. So, mate, if you can tell us the process of making the humble sinker.
Rogie, it's not too complicated. It can be a bit dangerous if you're not paying attention. I've got a couple of scars on my leg
to prove it.
Yeah, to prove it when you're not concentrating too hard and you overfill a mould and the lead leaks and it misses the table and hits your top of the knee. So I source my lead from like recycle yards or plumbers. If I've known a couple of guys that I got from like Simon from previous owner, contacts to get lead flashings and stuff like that. I have looked into buying like lead ingots from the lead smelters, but they're a bit expensive. And then got a pot, melt it down, get all your moulds. Clean up, like, especially if you're using old lead, you got to clean off all the lead, make sure it's all clean, get rid of all the nasties off of it, and paint and silicon and all the other stuff that's used on it. Pour your moulds, let them cool down, and then you trim off all your bits and pieces, and away you go. I've got a shed full of all the different styles and sizes. So when tackle stores make orders, I've got most of it there. I generally try to make most of my orders fresh because then the sinkers are all nice and shiny and not dull because everyone wants a nice shiny sinker to start off with.
Yeah. All good. Now, that shiny sinker, I'm sure that makes a lot of difference to catching the biggest fish, doesn't it?
That's it. You'd be surprised. Go and put a shiny sinker down in the middle of a school of snapper.
Yeah, fair enough.
They smash it. Yeah.
They do.
Nah,
you can see where those, the jigs that have or the sinkers now that they have the hooks on them, you can see why they work.
Nah, all good, Richard. Now tell us, you do more than just make sinkers. So you make all sorts of different shapes and sizes. You also do the burley pots. Tell us a bit about some of the other things you make.
Yep, so we do the burley pots and then also downrigger bombs and release weights for putting your big fish back down to the bottom or give them a hand. Do some dive weights and anything else lead related. Burley pots we've done, like everyone's probably seen them, but I actually did a big order to up to Queensland because their Queensland fisheries are doing my burley pots as a bait pot. Instead of getting long liners, they're using cages, like fish cages, where they put the burley pot in full of bait.
It's quite interesting.
Apparently they're trying to help, like the fish they don't want can go back better than sitting on a hook for hours that just sits in a cage swimming around, and also they don't get the loss from the sharks. So, I did 200 of those pots to go up there. So that was lots of drilling, lots of holes, made me cross-eyed for a couple of weeks.
Yeah. And you must have like hundreds of different moulds in your shed. You must have a fair-sized shed.
Yeah, so I hate to think how many's there. There's also buckets and buckets of old moulds that I don't use and even Simon didn't use. They're just sitting there. Occasionally I drag them out when there's a couple of shops around the place that still have some weird-looking sinkers that the old boys around the place still want to buy those specific sinkers. You'd be surprised how people are stickler for the shape of their sinker, if that makes any sense. Where it's a bit of lead and just gets to the bottom and eventually I'll lose it and sacrifice it to the road.
And have you made any changes to the business or how you do things since you took over from Simon, or it's pretty sort of smooth sailing?
Yeah, haven't done much. Added a few different moulds that Simon didn't worry about. Just trying to keep some of the tackle stores happy or just buying them all from us instead of somewhere else. But other than that, just keeping it rolling the way Simon did. Simon had it pretty good. He was just too busy with a full-time job and doing the savage stuff on the side. But he had it pretty economically going well.
Yeah, awesome. Now, you've talked a bit about working with tackle shops and those sorts of things, and I mean, it would be we've tried to remain as positive as we possibly can on this podcast when it comes to the algal bloom, but no doubt, Richard, you've seen the effects firsthand when you've been talking to these tackle shops and being in areas that have been affected so significantly by the algal bloom. Give us some of your insights, mate, to the algal bloom.
Yeah, it's pretty hit a lot of the shops, especially the smaller shops, really hard. Gone from it's around, like you heard of it on the Yorks, but didn't really affect Adelaide. And then when it hit Adelaide, like it was like the earth stopped and everyone stopped going fishing, everyone stopped buying stuff. And literally the weekend I was in Adelaide just going around to some of the new shops that Simon wasn't supplying that I've been trying to get my foot in the door. And that was sort of the weekend that it sort of hit Adelaide. So going from like, oh, yeah, we'll get some of your stock to like, oh, no, we won't spend any, which is fair enough. Like if no one's buying anything, they're not going to spend money. But yeah, sales have definitely dried up. And I'm just chatting to. I'm actually spending tomorrow in Adelaide, driving around, just going and seeing customers and being here for them, see if there's anything I can do to sort of help them, helps them, helps me, sort of thing. Yeah.
And what's been the feedback from some of those tackle shops? They're pretty, sort of negative about it all, or they're trying to make the best of a bad situation? Anything sort of we can do or our listeners can do to support you and support local tackle shops? I suppose it's just buying some stock, is it?
Yeah, it's about all of it. Like, they're all just trying to get their way through it. But the hardest thing, and it's for everyone, and it's fishers as well. Like, we don't know. Like, there's no light at the end of the tunnel. Like, they say the bloom's getting less and less, and I'm touch wood, I'm lucky I'm in an area that's not affected for my local waters out from Port Hughes, but it is scary. Like, if the bloom comes there, then shuts that down. But it's just working with guys, and I'll tell friends, and I've put some posts on Savage. Like, there's still other areas you can go and fish, or make this time to make rigs and put in the boat and stock up your sinkers, or like get your boat ready so when we can go fishing, you've got stock there ready to go. And then support the little guys so they can get their way through it as best you can.
Beautiful. And you mentioned your area's still fishing well, so you live up around Port Hughes area and fish there a fair bit. That's been the hot spot that side of the York Peninsula.
Yeah, I moved to Moondah Bay just on 2 years ago from Adelaide, did the big sea change. And yeah, like, we haven't been affected, and it's been pretty quiet. And then I did a few posts and let everyone know that the fishing's still good, just to get people out fishing, because obviously people talk about mental health. Like, if that's your outlet is fishing, everyone's doom and gloom if you can't go fishing. Someone will come up here, it's still fish here. And winter whiting's pretty nuts out of Port Hughes. So I've been... Yeah, obviously took you guys out and taken some mate come up for his birthday, and we went out and got a bag full of whiting in a couple of hours and come back in, and yeah, it's been really good.
Yeah, epic, mate. You're certainly right there. We had a wonderful day, and thanks again for taking us out. It was beautiful weather, and like you say, there are still some wonderful parts of our coastline. We've encouraged as many people as we can to just go that little bit further, that you may not be your sort of usual fishing spots, to get out and explore some new territory. So we're certainly encouraging everyone to do that. But mate, we had a brilliant day, like we mentioned, and you've got a lovely boat that really did get us onto the fish well. Tell us about your setup, mate.
Alrighty. Yeah, so it's absolutely killer day with you boys. A good laugh and found some fish. So I bought an older boat, like 30-year-old, like 6.5 metre sports craft a couple of years ago, and got back into my fishing and loved that boat. But old two-stroke, old trailer, so I looked at upgrading all that, and then had a car. I thought, I don't drive the car, so I sold the car and bought the 6.5 metre or 7.6 metre yellowfin plate boat after being in a couple of other mates' plate boats. I'm going, these plate boats are pretty good and quiet and stuff like that. And then I thought, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it properly. So I put the new Minn Kota on the front, which is just an absolute game changer. As after a day on the water, everyone for the first time goes, this is nuts. I put a wrap on it just to make it stand out, and set it up so it's like a fishing weapon now. Like, it's unreal. I think it does all right.
Beautiful. Yeah, we loved it, Richard. It was a great boat that day. And we love the Minn Kota too, didn't we, Diz?
Oh, mate, yeah, we were sort of hoping to dust off the checkbook on the way home so that we could go and bloody buy one. But no, it was a different experience. And one thing, I mean, you can tell us, Richard, about some, I suppose. I mean, there's countless really game changing elements of the trolling motors. But one thing I found quite amazing was just the amount of different marks that we could fish, because you would pull up and you'd be straight onto the spot, you'd get spot lock happening, and bang, you're onto the fish. And if they weren't there, you could just move it up, or you could shift 5 meters and see if you could find them, and you could just fish a lot more ground. And we've got a drum winch on our boat, and we can sort of, obviously drum winches has the benefit of not having to, reef the anchor up all the time. But I just couldn't believe it. You don't have to reposition the boat. You can just move it. It was, it was amazing.
Yeah, it's absolute, like, I'll say to anyone that goes, "Oh, what anchor winch should I put on your net?" Don't worry about it. Just go and get a Minn Kota. And then, like, if we'll have to get you out like Marion Bay, like going out for nannies and you're in 80 metres of water where you can't anchor.
Yeah.
And then if you are out there, you're running your motor and you're drifting, like being able to just sit over the top of a school of nannies and just step right there and then walk straight to the back of the boat, start fishing until you like don't want to pull fish in anymore, and then off you go. It's just
you're making us jealous, Richard.
I told you need a new sponsor.
I know, we do. If you know anyone who does electric motors, let us know.
Yeah, no worries.
All right, now we know fishing, as you said, is all about banter and fun and bit of competition. Who was better the other day, me or Diz?
Oh, I'm not sure.
Oh, Richard, come on.
I tell you what, I think we're all better. I'm not. Oh no, this is no disrespect to Simon, but Simon put the mockers on himself when he pulled over a whiting first drop and bloody threw it back in, and it was probably size.
Yeah, I reckon he put the jinx on the day.
Yeah. No, it was a good day, and we probably all ended up with similar amounts of fish, with the exclusion of Simon. No offense.
Yeah. Yep.
All good.
I pulled my weight towards the end of the day.
Yeah, you caught up late, so well done on that.
Yeah.
And thanks again for taking us out.
Nah, anytime there, especially when you're on a like time frame. It's easier just to not have to worry about time.
We were a bit spoiled, weren't we?
We did. We got the royal treatment. We just needed to rock up to the ramp. You had everything ready to go, and we were under a bit of time pressure to get back to Adelaide. So, mate, we had a wonderful day, and we can't thank you enough. It was a beautiful boat, and it was great company. And like you say, the banter really did make the day. We had a wonderful time together, and it's been great to chat to you on the show, mate, about all things Savage Tackle. It's been brilliant.
No worries, anytime.
Beautiful, Richard. Thanks for joining us.
Beautiful. Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
All right, Dizzy, that was great to hear from Richard, to sort of have a bit of a recap of our day out on the water, chat about all things sinkers and Savage Tackle.
Yeah, it was, Rhodey. It was a wonderful day on the water. I know we covered it when we were chatting with him, but geez, that Minn Kota was epic to fish with, wasn't it?
Oh, geez, we talked about this before, but it made us very, very jealous and really want one.
Yes, certainly did. All right, Rhodey, let's get stuck into our fishing report. Rhodey and Diz have been out on the water to bring you the news about where they're biting. Now it's time for the fishing report. I think we can wrap up this first fishing report part pretty quickly, Rhodey. We certainly didn't catch any fish at Black Point.
No, and there were not really any signs of fish. No, so we did go squidding with the kids. That was no good.
Yeah.
We didn't really give the whiting much of a go, but we had a bit of a look, and
No, it was a bit bleak,
I
wasn't
think
it?
we'll leave that for a couple more weeks.
Yes. What we can say, though, particularly seeing as you mentioned whiting, is that there's plenty out at the groups.
Yeah,
Cumbie
so
Bay.
Richard, after we spoke to him for that interview we just put on then, he went out with Simon Green and they bagged out 3 days in a row.
Yes, there was plenty of them down there. I think it might have been a bit of a fishing club trip
I think it was the Whyalla Fishing Club
Yeah, so that was
that they went with.
Big crew of them, and obviously getting the bag consecutively is always good. A lot of families to be fed down there, and we know how generous Richard and Simon are, so that would have been a wonderful few days that they got getting amongst the tings, and everyone would have had a really good feed out of that, and no doubt a great time. The weather looked amazing.
Yeah, and I think they did have good weather, and I think a lot of the others on the trip also got plenty of whiting, and that's good to see. And Diz, that's a good option to head over somewhere like that, like we say, to support the regions.
Yep.
And get your fix of fishing when this particular gulf we're in here in Adelaide is a bit more affected by the algae.
Yeah, good call, Rhodey. It's a great reason to get out and about and test out a new spot or book a little trip away with the family. And we talked about the Coast is Calling vouchers coming soon, so make sure you watch that closely because it'll give you a good opportunity to get out there and support the regions. Rhodey, we have sort of had a couple of little reports about people sort of suggesting that the offshore fishing is not noticeably affected by the bloom, that people have been out there getting around a few deep water species.
Yeah, down off sort of Marion Bay, Althorpes and out off Victor Harbour seems to be pretty good fishing, Diz.
Yep, I was speaking to a Kangaroo Island local recently at an event, and he sort of said that he was chatting to Gavin and that he's been doing quite well when they've gone out wide off the north coast.
And I think, Dizzy, that's a positive thing as we move towards the tuna season. We were just talking about hopefully all of those regions that are a bit further offshore aren't affected and we get a good tuna season, which we need.
Yes, we certainly do, Rhodey. I think it's something that everyone will be watching closely, and there'll be a little bit of trepidation, I think, about whether anything's going to be affected because of the bloom, but we'll sort of be watching that very closely, and everyone will be getting very excited to hopefully get around it.
And fingers crossed, Dizzy, talking about the tuna, these barrels reappear. I think there was a couple caught down off Port Macdonald, like a fair way out towards the shelf, not that long ago.
Yeah.
But we haven't really had this second run in closer that we've had in the past. Remember that first time we went down there? That was prelim final weekend of the AFL. So that was late September, and they were catching lots of fish at that time, that particular year. So there's certainly still time left that they come on for a big another run. So we're going to keep a really close eye on that one.
Yeah, good call, Rhodey. And I think that just about wraps us up for the fishing
the only other
report.
thing's probably the salmon that we did touch on, touched on briefly. Damway, I know, got into them at Port Noarlunga. I think Waipinga's been having salmon.
Still plenty of freshwater options.
Freshwater options are going well as well. So there is still plenty of options where you can get your fishing fix in, Diz.
Good call, Rhodey. Love that from you, mate. Well done on another great episode, 144. We're nudging our way along to 150.
Certainly are, Diz. Now make sure you're sharing your photos on Facebook and Instagram. Jump on and enter our competition to win that Shimano combo by telling us how you are doing. Something positive to do with fishing here in SA.
Good call, Rhodey. It's great that we're now streaming these services on the likes of Pocket Casts and Deezer. I'm sure those regular listeners have enjoyed episode 144. Hopefully they'll go through the back catalogue.
We could get a real boost in numbers now, Diz. You just watch out.
All right. Cheers, guys.
Rhodey and Diz hope you enjoyed today's episode of All the Gear But No Idea. Keep up to date by liking and sharing us on Facebook and Instagram. And you can subscribe on all the major podcast platforms. Until next time, good luck fishing.